The Don't Mess with the Man award goes to Chief Starter Buster Couch for red lighting the legend Bob Glidden at his home track of Indianapolis.
Both these cars have been over 300 miles an hour. Jim Hepler did it first. Al Hoffman 2 weeks ago in Phoenix ran 3:01:10. Two members of the Slick 50 300-mile-an-hour club that has been filled with the performances here in Houston. And there you see it in the opposite lane, a red light for Jim Hepler. Look at Hoffman go. 5:17 at 2:87. And the celebration begins. But for Jim Hepler, the old adage, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And he fell in the finals with a red light, leaving the starting line too soon. Knew he had to try something too soon. He was about a week and a half ahead of the Christmas tree. Well, that surprise was definitely justified, as NHRA admitted later in the season that there were some electronic problems at Houston that gave random red lights. They apologized to John Force, but there really was nothing they could do about it, and those gremlins struck Jim Hepler in the final.
That's right, Jim Hepler with another red light that appeared to be a little suspicious. In fact, his car was on the starting line every time this sort of thing happened.
In funny car, there's nobody else but John Force. And this weekend, that's the story once again. But this time, John Force has had more than his share of rather strange difficulties. For more on that story, here's Steve Evans.
Dave, only John Force could weave the tangled web we have seen this weekend in Topeka in the funny car category. John came to the Heartland with two missions, really. One was to clinch his fourth Winston title. The other was to reset his own national record of 4.99 for $50,000 in bonus cash. And Friday night, he got off to a real good start. 4.97 seconds, the quickest run in drag racing history. But take another look. As he got out of the groove and up to the center line, the headers knock over a cone. That is instant disqualification. The run didn't count.
Hot dog, she was covering a lot of ground. I knew she'd come over on the center line. She was loose, but that was all the strength I had to hold her. But it don't matter. She did it once. She'll do it again.
Fast forward to the next morning. John Force equals his record at 4.996, and that's good because that would serve as the 1% backup run that NHRA requires. Same day, the afternoon session. The crowd can't wait for this, and Force does not disappoint. 4.93 seconds, the world's quickest funny car run, but outside the 1% window. He still doesn't get the record.
We either hit cones or we do something. Now we run too fast to back up the record. But, hey, that's the rules. That's the way the game's played. We play by them, but it hurts. But to all the fans that wanted it, to my guys that did it, we feel we did it. 50 grand or not, we don't care. We'll get it tomorrow. But it's starting to get aggravated.
Earlier today in round number 1 of actual competition, Force's aggravation turned into aggression on the part of the crew. They hopped up this machine, did not play it conservatively alongside Ronnie Young. Force finally did it. 4.95.
It's hell when you tell your crew chief, quit running fast, you're killing me off. Austin Coyle, Bernie Federley. I made some money here to pay them bonuses, keep them boys, but
the record will go on the books at 4.93. Just awesome.
What did it run?
95.
95? Hell, what are you doing, Austin, again? Trying to run 70. I love those guys, I really do.
We've seen aggravated, now let's talk about frustrated.
We're going to kick off our pro finals with those two Dodges. In Pro Stock Eliminator, we're going to kick off our pro finals with those two Dodges. In Pro Stock Eliminator, joining us here in the booth is the driver of one of those fabled Oldsmobiles that wishes he was on the racetrack instead of in here with me, Kurt Johnson, number 2 in the Winston Chase last year. It wasn't quite your day, Kurt.
No, it really wasn't. We made some real consistent runs out there today, but Darrell had a little bit more power than we did and prevailed.
Scott Jeffrey and your dad, Warren Johnson, are the only 2 drivers that have won a Pro Stock title this season. A total of 5 races have been won. WJ has won 3, and Scott has won 2. Your dad's got a big lead in the Winston points chase, as it appears we've got problems on one of the cars. Scott Jeffrey had to jump start it. Seen that in a while?
That might be one of them Dodge starters on that car. I'm not sure.
Oh, we're getting into the Dodge Oldsmobile battle, whether he's on the racetrack or not. Bob Fry, you're down there on the starting line. What went wrong? The battery dead?
That's what it looked like, David. Now they're backing it up. You know, it might have been a little bit of a brouhaha had one of those Johnson Oldsmobiles been in the other lane. But, of course, the Dodge guys could have had to both their cars in there, so they figured that anything's fair game.
Well, you didn't see Darrell Alderman unstrapping and coming out and shaking his fist at anybody or jumping up and down. And the crew chiefs, well, they work side by side in the Wayne County Speed Shop all the time. Scott Jeffreyon is pointing inside his car. That's our onboard shot. There's still a problem with the Jeffreyon car, as Buster Couch is signaling we got to put him on a time limit, and Darrell Alderman continuing with his burnout. And now the car is starting on its own, and here he comes. So apparently they made him shut it off and restart it to prove the car could start on its own. That's our in-car shot inside the Mopar Dodge. Would this blow your concentration, Kurt?
No, not really. Looked real unfortunate for Scott right there. It looked like they had shut him off and he had broken something, but he's right back to where he needs to be right now. He's going to stage the car and he's going to let the clutch off.
Well, the Pro Stock rules, in addition to the other restrictions like 500 cubic inch maximum and the minimum weight of 2,350 pounds, also require that the car be able to start on its own. And maybe they said, hey, you got to do it at least once, and he did. So Scott Jeffreyon in the far lane. In the near lane, it is Darrell Alderman. Alderman, the slightly quicker time in the semifinals. This could be one great side-by-side race. Let's watch. And the win to Darrell Alderman on performance, a 7:14 to a losing 7:21, 192 miles an hour. So now there's a new name in the winner's roster. Are you surprised, Kurt?
No, Darrell was looking for a win here. This was the first race that he's won all year where points were involved. He did win at Rockingham.
Here is Kurt Johnson, the driver of the Texas Harley Oldsmobile Cutlass. Young Kurt is getting a tremendous break here in round number 2. He will automatically advance into the semifinals because he has no opponent. He qualified number 5 at a 7:09, then ran 7:10 to beat Bob Glidden in round number 1. You ask, why is he on a single? Well, we have the answer. Take a look at what happened in round number 1. If everything had gone proper, one of these two drivers, either Steve Schmidt or Billy Ewing, would have faced Kurt Johnson. But as starter Buster Couch watched placidly, they both took their time about staging. Finally, they both broke and came into the staging beams. Billy Ewing left, Steve Schmidt left, but starter Buster Couch did not throw the switch. The rules say you must activate the tree to have a race.
I can't remember the last time both cars were disqualified. What was the deal up there?
I have no idea. I went in, turned my bulb on. The next thing I knew, the other car left. He was 3 car lengths out on me. I left. I wasn't paying attention to the tree at that point in time. All I know is I got an ET slip that says I won.
But the rules say different. That tree must be activated to have a valid race. And both drivers left before starter Buster Couch threw the switch.